everyone. Welcome to Off the Charts, episode 240. I'm your host, Dan, and today I have a helper from all the way from New Zealand. I'd like to welcome my friend, Keith. How are you doing today?
Hi everybody. I'm good, thanks, Dan. Hope you're good.
Awesome. I'm good. So we're going to be doing another one of these revisiting forgotten bands. Again, from my point of view, from Canada. We're going to be talking about the Angels, or as we know them in Canada, or I guess the US, Angel City. Now, this band was, from our point of view here in Canada versus New Zealand, where Keith is a lot of discrepancies, and hopefully we'll be able to sort some stuff out here with my friend Keith's help here. So before we start off, if you like this type of content, please like and subscribe, tell your friends, hit the little thumbs up and a little bell to be notified when I publish new content like this. All right, so shall we go into the episode of the Angels / Angel City, my friend?
Right, let's do it.
All right. So these guys are from Australia, Adelaide, correct?
Yep, correct. Yep.
All right. Formed in 1974 as the Keystone Angels, but then later on became the Angels, just like that, correct?
Yeah, they started out as sort of a university jug band, but then they started writing songs, but they were more like rock songs. So they formed the Angels so they could play those songs that didn't fit into the other band. And John Brewster started the band, and he brought in his brother, and he'd already knew Bernard Doc Neeson before, so he brought him in as well to the band, and that's how it all started.
So yeah, the three main guys I would say are Doc Neeson, which is on vocals.
Yeah.
And John and Rick Brewster. Now I forget which does lead, which does rhythm. Do you remember?
Rick Brewster, like they got two rhythm guitars, so it's Rick Brewster and
who's the guy
his
that
brother.
just,
They're both on the.
Who's the guy that
That's
just
Rick.
stands
He just stands
there?
there.
Love that,
Yeah.
love that gimmick, by the way. Love it.
Like just like this, just stands there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's him, right? So
Yeah.
before we start off, I'd like to thank my friend Keith for sending me a nice, very awesome vinyl care package. And there was also this DVD documentary of the Angels, which I actually watched by pure luck. I got this yesterday in the mail, so I was able to watch this yesterday to be prepared a little bit more for this episode. So we'll talk more about this one in a few. But in Canada, when I say, I mean, when you go to New Zealand or Australia, I'm sure you mentioned the word Angels, everybody, it's pretty much a household name, correct?
Not as much as like AC/DC, obviously, but they all started out at the same point with Albert Productions. That's like Harry Vander and George Young, one of the Young brothers.
Yeah.
There's a record label, and they all started at that same sort of point, at that same time, but not as well known worldwide because they've had
but I'm talking about Australia and New Zealand. Like, are they household names over there?
For a certain generation, probably, but not anymore because they've sort of had their day, and
Gotcha.
Yeah, tell you the truth.
Okay, but because here in Canada, it's like, and we'll get into the comparisons of both here. Like, even my friend, I was showing him my Discogs list and how I was, how you could sort them out. And he was looking at that, and just out of nowhere, this was a couple of years ago, he's like, "All right, Dan, like Angel City, why is that there?" Like, even he knows a lot about music too. And he's like, did not ring a bell to him, and I was like, I just remembered that. I'm like, well, I'm going to mention that on today's episode because, here in Canada, the Angels or even Angel City is far from being a household name, obviously, but not even like, I'm not even sure people know who they are. So,
and it's a bit confusing with the name as well.
Yes. So back where you are, New Zealand and Australia, they're known as the Angels.
Correct. Yeah.
Here in I guess the USA and Canada, they're known as Angel City. Now, the reason for that, I read somewhere, it was to not confuse them with the glam metal band from the late 70s, Angel.
Hmm.
You know, the ones all dressed in white.
Yeah. On Casablanca Records, that
Yeah,
they
the opposite of Kiss, pretty much.
yeah,
So it,
just when they toured at that time, and it's just to save legal problems, as touring
yeah,
is yeah, similar.
it was like, yeah, it was Angel versus the Angels, but whatever. So
Hmm.
yeah, we have it here as Angel City. So like I said, I've never heard of the only how I heard about it was through these books, the Martin Popoff books,
Oh,
where
okay.
he had them. He mentioned he loves the Angels and or Angel City. So I remember way back about, I would say 6 7 years ago, maybe I bought an album by Angel City just because it was in Martin Popov's book. So that and I'll get through that soon there. But so they have their first album called The Angels in 1977. Are you still there?
Yeah, I just zoom glitched out for a minute. I think it. Were you talking about Face to Face just then?
No, apparently the first one is like it's called The Angels from 1977. The picture here, I'll
Oh
show you.
yeah, in Australia.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
Australia, because
Okay,
that
I
one
thought
here
yeah.
is not here at all.
It wasn't like I think four records in. That's when the US and Canada they started releasing like four records in.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is the album right here. So do you have this one?
No, I don't have that one.
Okay, so this would be
The
their first one.
That's their first one. Yeah, their
Okay,
debut
then
on Albert.
now in Canada, so after this would come the album Face to Face. Now I have this one here. Do you have this one here?
No, I don't have that one either.
Okay, so no, that's fine. So here, it's the same album for like the Angels has the same album, but this is sort of a mix of this album plus the Angels, the first one that I showed the picture of. So from a Canadian point of view, see here it's called Angel City,
Yeah.
but you'll have see I'll see if I can put the thumbnails or the pictures of the album later on there when I edit this there. So just to compare, so we have here Angel City Face to Face. Our version from Canada, from like I said, Angel City, is a mix of the Angels' first album and the Face to Face album. So
This
just
this is where it gets really complicated because
yes,
the first one to actually be released in the US and Canada was actually in 1980. This one.
but this is all. See a different,
Yeah, see, it's different.
yeah,
Yeah,
a
but
little
you've
different.
got
But there's also one like this. But there's a Face to Face.
that Face to Face was released after this.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
See,
So this came out in 1980, and in Australia and New Zealand, this was their fourth album, and this was the first. I know it's complicated to get your head around.
yeah.
So your version of this album has got a new version of the song Ivory Stairs and Straight Jacket. Is that on there?
I have Straight Jacket. Yes, and what was the other one? Oh, yeah, Ivory Stairs. Yes.
Yeah. On my copy here, right, it's got instead of that, it's got the song Alexander and I'm Scared.
Mm. It's not
So
here.
on that year, like they signed an international contract, like they got out of their contract with the Australian label and they signed with CBS Records. And then after this one, is
Mm-hmm.
that one that you just showed then, that
Face to
face
face.
to
Okay.
face? Yeah,
See,
yeah.
just to tell you, man, I am not an Angel or Angel City expert here.
But you're completely right. That's when it's got Angel City and on the top. So it's that is actually almost a compilation.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the
Because it
same, sort of the same album cover as
yeah, it is. Yeah.
Australian
Yeah.
face to face.
So that's got tracks from the Australian version of Face to Face, right?
Yeah.
And off, and it's got tracks from this album as well on it.
Yes.
No
It ends
exit.
with No Exit, which again,
Yeah.
that was my next one,
Yeah.
which has No Exit. There's no album by Angel City but called No Exit.
No.
This
No.
is so confusing.
No.
You guys following us so far?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's no exit here in Canada. So that one I do not have that one.
So like there's a re-recorded version on there of the song Am I Ever Gonna See Your Face Again? Do you know that song?
I think yeah. This see, I have this on here.
Yeah. Um, so after they did that, they spent like a year, half a year touring the US and Canada in support of that album.
Mm-hmm.
But the strange thing was in the tour, they paired them up with the Kinks. Do you remember that from the? I
Oh,
think they talk about that.
so they do talk about that tour in
Yeah,
this
yeah.
documentary
And what a
where
bizarre.
they started with because they were getting encores, like ridiculous
Mm,
encores all the time, and at one time they were not even sharing lights any or giving them less lights,
mm.
less amplifiers or something like that. I forget the whole.
Yeah, Ray Davis kicked them off the tour because they were
Yes,
getting too popular.
yeah, it's one of those. So yeah, okay, all right. So now
Moving
we
on to
have
the
that one.
next.
What's that?
Moving on to the next.
Yeah. So now I have. I think this is sort of the same one. This is the first one I got like many years ago, like
Hmm.
6, 7 years ago. I have Angel City Night Night Attack. Yeah, that was the first one and I remember seeing that picture in Martin's book, and I was like, and I
Hmm.
saw this just it was just hanging there, first ones in the A's. I'm like, okay, I know I've seen this picture before. I'll get it, and that's what kind of started the whole.
Hmm.
But again, never heard of these guys until this was the first time I ever heard any Angel or the Angels or Angel City. Do you have this one here?
I don't have that one, but I know the cover. The cover of the Australian New Zealand one's like
I'll
dark,
put
and there's red around it.
Yeah, I'll put the picture here of the difference there. But
Hmm.
yeah, this was Night Attack from 1981. I like this one here. This is the picture here.
Yeah.
So that's another
Hmm.
Angel
It's one of their
City.
better albums.
I like it. Yeah, that was the first one I heard.
Yeah.
Um,
Dan,
then
that copy
go ahead.
that copy you've got there, has it got the track Back on You on it?
Yes.
That's not on the Australian New Zealand copy. So that's another. Yeah,
We're gonna confuse people before.
I know. And then to make things worse, they actually skip a record. They skip the next record that came out here called Watch the Red. They just skip that
Yeah,
completely.
there's no Angel City for Watch the Red at all, which was 1983.
Yeah.
Are you still there? Yeah.
So yeah. So I do want to get that copy because it's got Back on You on it, which is from I think that's from Face to Face. So it's just a bit different. Um,
Different version or just different?
I think it's the same version. I think it's the same version, but It's so easy to get stuck when you're going through. Even I had to look on Discogs and check track listings and things like that just to work
Oh, I
out
was
what is
I was
what.
on Discogs and Wikipedia just looking at and just trying to compare, and I was like, oh my god, I've got a headache right now.
Yeah, I know.
So
Well, we'll get there. We'll get
yeah.
there.
Well, the
All right.
earlier stuff is what's complicated, I find. And then
Hmm.
then I think you have this one here.
Yeah, I've got that one.
So here's a comparison of, see, there you go. 2 minute warning, if that's what it's called for you too, yeah. But then you've got the
Yeah,
Angels on one side, and I've got Angel City on the
Angel
other right
City.
here. And as Canada goes, this was on MCA. It was no longer on Epic Records. So they got, in the movie, they tell, or the documentary, they say about being dropped. So
Hmm.
I'm assuming here, is this the reason why this is the last Angel City album here? Because to me, I thought I had 4 albums, and I thought that was okay, cool.
Hmm.
And then I'm looking at the Angels, and I'm like, oh my God, there's so much more that I need to
Yeah,
to
I know.
get.
Well, from what I understand, this cost, they went over to America to record this, and it cost $450,000 to record.
Yes.
And yeah, and they were complaining because they didn't think it was a very good album. And I don't know if, like in the recording studio, they threw in the Coke bill and all the drugs on the recording, whatever. But it cost, and then so after that, they were in a panic because they had to try and make all the money back and pay back like MCA. And they also talk about how at that time lots of record labels were gobbling up other record labels. So they'd be working with one person one day, and
Mhm.
then the next day there'd be another record executive that they'd have to talk to. And then of course they're trying to work to pay back the money, so that they're just working every night if they can to try and pay back. If they'd gone back to Australia and um, recorded at Albert Studios or something, it would have cost about $60,000 to
Yeah, that's what
record
they
this.
were. That's a
Yeah,
mention in the.
they talk about that. So there is another difference in the records as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and there's another one on the Australian New Zealand version. We've got Run for Shelter, and I think on your version there, it's got Be With You.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the only thing. Even though they scramble up the track listing, it's the way the songs are. It's all
At least it's sort of the same. But yeah,
yeah.
see, that's
So
it. No, go ahead.
they were, I think they were sort of like touring, and none of the guys had any money, and then the family wanted them back in Australia. You know, they just pulled the pin and came back to Australia. That's what I understand sort of happened, in my understanding.
Yeah.
Um,
If you guys have some insight regarding the Angels slash Angel City, write them in the comments, please, because it's this one's a big.
hmm.
I don't want to. I'm gonna say it's a mess.
It
And
is. It is. It's all over the place.
there's no mention of why they changed to Angel City in here in this movie.
Hmm.
It's just like, oh, we're going to the States, and then you see a picture of the venue and it says Angel City. That's it.
That documentary is very from the Brewster brothers' point of view, and sort of rewriting history a little bit of the band. But their next album that they put out was rejected by the record label.
Oh, really?
So they were touring behind like that album that they didn't really like, and it wasn't going anywhere. So that's probably the main reason.
So then
Uh,
next up, do you have 1986 Howling?
yeah.
There you go.
So this is where I caught them when I first started being interested in this band, and I saw them live, I think at least once on this tour, and then I saw them at least twice on this live line tour, which was just like a celebration of the band being together for like 10 years, and they just did live
So
shows.
you saw
So
the original lineup here in
yeah,
'86.
86. But the only difference was John Brewster had left the band. So it's another guitar
Oh,
player in
that's
here.
that. Okay, that part. Yeah,
Yeah,
they mentioned that in the documentary.
yeah. He left the band and he joined this band here, Party Boys.
Nice.
And the Party Boys were just like a band that they just put together to tour. If musicians had nothing to do, they'd just come together and they'd just do whatever. Um, yeah, so this is where I caught this out. This wasn't released in the States and Canada. And
But
this is
at
on the
Angel, yeah.
yeah, this is on the Mushroom label, the Australian label.
That-
So they've got another guitar player, Bob Spencer, and great band at this time. Just really
nice.
fantastic.
Cool.
So when I'd go see them, this was one of the first bands I went to. They'd already been together for like 10 years plus.
Hmm.
And there's a documentary on Netflix you can watch of them live. I think it's live in Narara or something like that. And that was supposedly going to be the lead singer, Doc Neeson's last gig. He thought at the time he was going to leave them,
Okay.
and he did leave. And so they did a massive concert. And if you want to know really what the band's like, watch that, because huge crowds and he's just going absolutely crazy. You watch the guy and you think he's borderline crazy person because he'd come on stage and then he'd say something like, behave, uh, do what you are told, do what is required in this really weird voice.
Uh,
You'll hear it on the documentary and then you
it's
look at
it's
him.
it's here also.
And then wouldn't stop. It'd race around the stage doing crazy stuff the whole and like if you watch it on YouTube, massive crowd. I was right at the front. I was right at the front and saw this guy, and he's just one of the most incredible front people I've ever seen.
So
So
did you see them in a bar or an arena type of?
a tiny little venue in Hamilton, New Zealand,
Wow.
and yeah, it doesn't hold much people. And on one of the tours, I don't know if it was the Howling one or the Lifeline tour. I saw them twice in 1 week,
Wow. Okay.
and I thought it was normal that a band would do three encores. You know, the place just went nuts. He just had everyone wound up. He has everyone wound up, and it's quite scary to watch him. You know, you're thinking, what's this guy going to do next? It's riveting to just watch the guy.
I will say this: his voice, whatever.
Hmm.
But his again, after watching this here and looking at his stage presence, I was like, that is quite a character slash frontman to have. He was great at what he did as a frontman. I'm not talking about the voice. Was frontman. I was actually very impressed by what he did on stage. Apparently, it was very scary too, right?
Yeah, yeah, you know, he's quite a big bloke, and he's running around and jumping and coming right up close to you and saying stuff. He'd start off looking very smart in a jacket
Yeah,
and a shirt and a tie, and during the performance, running around, he'd take it that would come off. He'd go into the
yeah,
crowd, tie would come off, go into the crowd, and I think he probably did maybe one costume change, and he'd be sweating,
yeah.
and then
Well, I think this shot is actually taken from a live concert almost because I saw, like, your David Lee Roth splits there with the legs. That was, I guess, his known pose from what I saw in, like, that's how he would jump off the. It's not him just standing there like doing jumping jacks there. It's actually a jump he did from the drum riser or something like that.
yeah, he was always climbing up stuff. And just a quick story, when I was watching him at the end of the gig, the place would just clear, the floor would clear, and there was his clothes lying on the floor, like his jacket, his shirt, and his tie. So I was looking around and I thought, I might try and grab that. So I went and I picked up his clothes, and then he turned around and he just gave me this look like, what are you doing? Because I was only about 16, 17. What are you doing? So I went up and I handed him his, because the stage was like only 2 steps. He was right there, you know. And
Gotcha.
so I handed him his jacket, and then I held on to his shirt and his tie, and he just looked at me and he just smiled, and he just like, you take it, you know. So for years I was wearing his shirt and his tie, and I'd wear a leather jacket, and I think I was a rock star.
There you
So
go.
yeah.
You still have that?
No, I got rid of it. Yeah, I don't know what happened, just moves and things like that. And yeah.
All right. Well, that's quite the that's a cool life story.
Mm,
So next up, we got 1990 Beyond Salvation.
yeah. Uh, that one
I
there.
absolutely love that album cover. Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah.
And that's from me looking at Keith's channel. Like I'm like I see that album. I'm like, okay, there's something's wrong with the Angel City discography that I have. I had to go and look more into it, and that's where, of course, I was like, oh yeah, there's. I knew there was two band names, but I just thought their discography was short, not long. Like, so I go on with that. You can talk about that one if you wish.
Um, you know, we got the Angels from Angel City. It was Angel City. Then on the one that was released on your part of the world, it had Angels from Angel City and writing. So I think it was there or something. And uh, so with this album, there's again a different track listing. Okay. Um, they only included 4 of the new songs on the overseas version of this.
No, but
Okay. Yeah.
so then I guess I should be looking out for the Angels of Angel City, correct?
Yeah, for this one, just for this album, it's got
It's
all the rest
probably under
of
that
Angel
then.
City. Yeah, it might be. Yeah, you could be right.
I'll look it up.
So all the rest are like just tracks that have been in their previous albums. So there's only on this copy I've got here, the Australian one, only 4 of these songs made it to the overseas version. Yeah. So great album. One of their best albums.
Yeah.
Definitely. Every song on here is a good one in my opinion. But
All right. All right. Next up, do you have Redback Fever?
that's a very rare one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's only been released once, and I think the version of it's on red vinyl. So I had a look to see if I could grab a copy, and the prices were like 600 New
Oh,
Zealand and
yeah.
stuff like that. So, but apparently the band toured for about 2 years on that album.
Wow.
So that they're trying to make it, but really their success was in our part of the world. I think
Oh, big time.
and
Big time.
yeah.
'Cause,
So in 1992, of course, John Brewster comes back to the band. So it's
mhm.
quite a gap where he's out of the band,
Yeah.
and he gets quite teary in that documentary when he talks about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got another bloke on bass, Jim Hilburn. He's an American. So they just got in touch with their record company and said, we need a bass player.
Yeah.
So record company problems, legal problems just kept them from recording new material until about 1996. And then they came out with the final album really under Doc Neeson in 1998, Skin and Bone.
Yeah. Skin and Bone. You got that one?
Yeah. No, that's only a CD one.
Okay.
The later ones are, like I was saying, quite rare. I was lucky to get that Beyond Salvation one, actually. So, and then, of course, you would have heard in the documentary about the group sort of disbanded at the end of the 90s when Doc Neeson had a car accident.
Yeah, and yeah, that was so. Yeah, at the end of the '90s, you said,
Yeah, 1999.
because they've got 2 albums after. We'll talk about that soon there, but yeah, I guess that was the end of that. I guess the classic lineup. I guess.
After that, there was like problems with the band because there was 2 competing bands on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Because after about 3 years, Doc would see the Brewster brothers coming out and doing a original Angels show. So he started doing a band, I think, called Doc Neeson's Angels. So just to confuse things in Australia, that circumstance where there's two touring bands and it sort of does ruin things a bit for us fans,
We have
with
that
two.
here. It's with Rat and LA Guns are in the same boat.
Just
I know
weird.
exactly what you mean.
Yeah, really weird.
Yeah.
And then, so he came back in about after the legal problems, they sat down and they decided that what they'd do, they'd only call themselves the Angels if all 5 original members were together
Okay.
in about 2008. So they came back together and did some tours, and then Doc Neeson finally left the band in 2011.
And he passed away like not 4 years after. Is it
Yeah,
2015?
3 years later.
Yeah.
And I think he was 67. He died of a brain tumor in 2014. He was 67 years old. And Chris Bailey, who was in the band, also died of throat cancer in 2013. Rest in peace, both those guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what the Brewster brothers did, they threw out the window sort of that agreement about they'd only keep the band going with 5 original members, and they started playing under a new lead singer, which was Dave Gleason, and he was in a band over in Australia called the Screaming Jets, and that was the band that I've seen the final time last year. So in total, I've seen 3 of the original lineup, and last year I saw under the Dave Gleason. Yeah.
I was it's funny you mentioned the Screaming Jets because I saw, that they're currently touring with a lead singer from the Screaming Jets, and as luck would have it, my friend Steph, who came to do an episode last week, he's like, just out of nowhere, do you know a band named the Screaming Jets? I was like, how small of a world. I was like, then of course I learned that yesterday about the Screaming Jets. I'm like, everything is getting intertwined and like family trees galore.
Yeah.
So they have 2 albums with that lineup, I believe.
Yeah, that they I think they re-recorded some of the old albums and they called them Recharged, and then they put out some other. But for me, the core Angel City albums are the 12. And if you really want to know what the original lineup sounds like, this is the one to get for me. And for me, it'll always be this guy here, Doc Neeson, in the band for me. And of course, last year, finally, Dave Gleason leaves the band. So the lineup they've got now is basically the Brewster family. This is what John Brewster wanted all along, to be his. He started it, but he wanted it to be his band. So they got the drummer Nick Norton to be the lead singer. So, and the rest are like Brewster family members. So
yeah, I saw that with a bunch of Brewster families inside or during the band right now. Yeah, so.
So that takes us up to sort of present day type of thing.
So I guess I'll put the pictures there if I can find them. They had Take It to the Streets in 2012 and Talk the Talk 2014. I believe that's all the Angels' discography, correct?
Yeah. I haven't listened to those because, like I said, I'm all about the classic 12 albums and EP and
So when I say here in Canada or US, we knew nothing about Angels or Angel City, but there's some songs that were covered by bands. I'm going to show you because I knew of them, and then it's when I got into Angel City that I'm like, oh, that's a cover. So Great White, I don't know if you're familiar with this one. They do a Face the Day, which when I heard the Great White version, I was like, like whatever. But then I heard it fits better with Angel or the Angels or Angel City. See, I don't even know what to call them anymore. But yeah, they do Great White on this album. They do Face the Day, and not once but twice on the album Hooked, they do Can't Shake It. I don't know.
Yeah,
That one
mm,
wasn't as known as Face the Day was
mm.
very minor. I use the word hit very loosely, but yeah,
I like
great.
the song.
What's that?
I like the song. Yeah, I think it's a good
Oh,
song.
it's a great song
Mm.
with the Angels with Great White. I was just like, but then I listened to the Angels like in the past week or two a lot, and I was like, I can see a few Great White influences in there. So, sorry, I can see some Great White Angel influences in the Great White sound. That's what I meant. Sorry.
What do you think of the guitars? Like, there's a really good intro in Take a Long Line. Starts it off really well. I don't know if you remember that. Um, and it's great. Rick Brewster intro to that. I really like that. And that No Secret song is very catchy. Does that stick in your mind? That No Secret
See,
song?
I was actually going to mention that No Secrets. They make a big deal out of it in this movie.
They do, yeah.
I've never heard that song or video ever. To me, it was the song that it was. Oh my God, is it Take a Long
Take a
Line?
Long Line, yeah,
Oh my God, I love that one.
yeah.
Um,
Great guitar on that.
Shadow Boxer is a great one too. No Exit. I forget the title. See, I'm not familiar with the titles that much here, but yeah, there's a. To me, there, I would say these
For
three.
you, yeah. Yeah, that's probably that'd be in my top
Yeah,
5 or 6. Yeah,
I would say a little like again, it's sort of a compilation, but yeah, this one's great.
hmm. But I'm listening to different things to you on that side.
Exactly. It's
Yeah,
all. If you guys are watching from the U.S. or Canada, you'll have to. But if you're watching from the New Zealand or Australia area, it's like it's a big mess. I find, but it's an interesting mess to talk about.
it
And
is. Yeah,
I am much more clearer and smarter regarding this band, especially in the last 24 hours, thanks to Keith with this thing here. This is a good listen. But so are they still together, or like?
apparently under this the drummers doing they announced last year. I'm not. I assume they're touring because they're like regularly touring band. But I don't think I'd go see them. Um, for me, it's to be honest, it's more of a tribute band to listen to them now. I like hearing those songs, but I've got the best memories about seeing them those 3 times. Way back. But as far as I know, they're still going like a family concern. Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, again, if you guys want to check out the Angels discography, or just Angel City, I still have some work to do. I'm gonna get some more Angels just to. I wouldn't say I love them, but I'm appreciating them more and more as I'm getting to know them. Because
Mm.
for the longest time, I only had that Night Attack one. Then I started getting all the other Angel City ones. Thought I was like, all right, got another collection here. Nope. It's a it's a little different here.
Bit tougher to pick up. Yeah, where you are.
I think yeah, but I think
They used to be common.
was that
They used to be common, like AC/DC albums, Angels albums, Rose Tattoo were everywhere. That's why I never used to pick them up because you'd see them around people's places. You didn't have to actually own them, as at parties and things. But you just suddenly realize one day, oh, hang on a minute, you can't get these anymore. Yeah.
exactly? And then of course, yeah, from your part of the world, it's all I get at the time
Mm.
was a household name. Here, zero. So if you're in Canada or US, check some out. Check out. Oh, by the way, I saw a cover yesterday of them doing "We Got to Get Out of This Place." Wow.
That was, yeah. It was a massive hit. That was one of their biggest hits, like that and No
That
Secrets.
was the best version of that song I have ever heard.
Yeah,
I
I
abs-
did.
I was like in awe yesterday. I was like, wow, okay, that's a good version.
It fitted them like a glove, and I didn't even know that the Animals sang it when I first heard that song. So that was the first tour for that. That's on the Howling album that I showed, and that was, their hit single at the time when I went and saw them live, and live it was good as well. Yeah.
No, I've heard, Hollywood Vampires or Alice Cooper do that cover. It was okay.
Mm.
And who else a couple of days ago I was like, oh yeah, I know. Oh, the new Blue Oyster Cult album,
Oh yeah.
Stories, has a cover of that. But
Oh, I didn't know that.
hands down, the best cover I've ever heard is that Angel. There's a video for it too. I actually watched it
Mm.
last night. I was like, wow. I rhythmically I thought it was great. So I'm glad you have the 45 of that. That's on no album, right?
Um, it's on. Hang on, I think it's on Howling. Yeah, it's on Howling.
Okay.
Yeah, where is it? There.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
That was I love that cover. So that was a good one there.
And a lot of bands have copied Doc Neeson's style on stage. Singers have copied them, and of course you hear from Guns N' Roses rate them, and you know.
That's what they were saying, I believe, in the documentary there. I was like, yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, that's okay. Anything else you want to add regarding the Angels that some people might want to know?
No, I'm finished.
All
I could
right.
talk all day, but
Yeah, I know, but yeah, it's so I'm going to come out of this a little bit smarter. Also, thank you for participating in this here. That was a chat and a class at the same time, I would say.
it's always a pleasure to talk about this band because I love that band.
Yeah, in your area of the world, I think it's like you guys are very proud of that band, I believe, right?
Yeah. Mm.
I know that Australia is like very proud of that band, and it's like, and here in Canada and US, it's just like zilch. Like
there was actually a New Zealander in the band, like Brent Eccles was in the band for a while, so there is that New Zealand connection as well too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, cool. All right. Well, there you go, guys. I believe that'll do our show for today. So first of all, I'd like to thank Keith for showing up and helping me out with this Angels/Angel City episode.
Yep, you're welcome. I hope I answered some of your questions.
Oh, you did. That was
Yeah.
There was no question I had that was left unanswered. Let me put it that way. So out there, go check out. I'm going to put Keith's channel link also in the bottom in the comment. Go check out his channel. Very good stuff on this. And what I like about it, he doesn't do I like to promote stuff that's are like mine, but do a little bit differently stuff there. So check it out there. So on that note, thank you guys for watching. Leave your comments if you guys are familiar, not familiar. Did we miss anything regarding the Angels/Angel City? Check out a few songs we've mentioned here on the channel here, and maybe we'll get you hooked up, or you'll start to discover some bands you maybe never knew about. So on that note, thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Keith, once again. And we shall see you guys next episode. Take care. Bye-bye.